Pioneer fans, Pioneer Women's Varsity Soccer is live and on the air. It is senior night here for the Pioneer Women's Varsity Soccer team, so they're setting up things, getting the arch there, and we will turn it over to John, the public address announcer, as soon as they start doing the senior celebrations. But let's take a look at the records between these two teams. Pioneer is 9-3-1. They have won 1, 2, 3, 4. They've won 4 in a row. They have won 7 out of the last 8 out there. So Pioneer really closing out on a good way of the season. They have the game versus Bedford today, senior night, and then they will have a game on the 18th versus Huron. Bedford is 2-10-1. Their 2 wins came versus Lincoln, the second game of the season back on April 13th, and they beat Lincoln at home back on May 4th. They had 1 draw that was versus Carlson Airport. That was a 0-0 draw, their last game back on the 13th. So Pioneer looking to hopefully have a very good senior night, but of course Bedford's doing everything they can to spoil it. Now, taking a look at the SEC Red standings before we get going with the senior celebration, both Huron and Saline are tied with 26 points. Pioneer is 2 points behind them with 24 points. Now, today, Huron and Saline are playing. So one of those teams, if Pioneer can win today, they can go ahead of one of those teams. Then Pioneer is playing Huron next. So if Pioneer, they still have a shot. It's not maybe likely to win the SEC Red, but they still have a shot. If Huron can beat Saline today, and then Pioneer will go in front of Saline with the win today. Then if Pioneer can beat Huron in 2 days, then Pioneer would be able to win the SEC. But a lot does have to happen, starting off with Saline would have to lose, which has not happened as of yet. So that's what is upcoming. The brackets have been released for the playoffs, and we'll talk about those in just a few moments. If we send things over and take a look at the MHSAA website, where you can find all your information about the upcoming playoffs for all the wonderful sports, including the men's lacrosse playoffs. Pioneer is going to start that on Friday versus, I believe it's Salem. The women's lacrosse playoffs is starting the next week, and the women's soccer playoffs starting next week as well. So taking a look at the brackets out there. For the regions, we'll pull that up as they are doing the senior celebration, and we will talk about that a little bit later here. So actually, I got it up as they're working on this senior celebration. The playoffs are hosted by Ypsilanti Lincoln, but Pioneer will have a home game, and it's not a very easy home game. On the 24th, there will be 2 playoff games here at Hollway Field, as we will start off with the soccer playoffs at 4:30. We will broadcast that on the NFHS network, and if you have, it does require a subscription. But we will also see if we can do an audio broadcast if you don't want to pay for the NFHS broadcast. And we're going to our public address announcer for the senior celebration.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's a special night, and we ask that you direct your attention to midfield for our annual Senior Night ceremony. Always bittersweet. Tonight, the Pioneer Women's Soccer Program honors all seniors for their years of effort and dedication to their teams. First, we want to congratulate and salute the seniors and their families from Bedford. Without an opponent, we wouldn't have a game, and only by accident are we on Ann Arbor or Bedford. Let's hear it for the Bedford seniors. And now for Pioneer. We want to recognize and thank their families for all the support they've given to the players and to the program over these years. We are proud to introduce our soccer seniors, members of the Pioneer High School class of 2023. This group of 11 seniors are out of this world. They're shooting stars on their way to galaxies unknown and of their own. We'll introduce them to you in order of their jersey numbers. First, number 0, Jordan Knox. Her parents, Dana and Michael Knox, are accompanying Jordan on the field. She's played 4 years for Pioneer. She plays goalie. She's also a violin player in the Pioneer Orchestra, and she'll be attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison next year, where she'll major in political science. And her advice for younger players, shoot for the stars. Next, number 3, Maddie Hood. Her parents, Andrew and Elizabeth, are accompanying her on the field. Maddie has played for 4 years for Pioneer Soccer. She's a center midfielder, and Maddie runs Pioneer cross country as well. Next year, Maddie will be attending also the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she'll be studying psychology. Go Badgers! Maddie's favorite memory of Pioneer Soccer is beating Skyline her senior year and celebrating with her teammates. Maddie Hood. And now, number 7, Marguerite Poppins. Accompanying her are her mother, Nora O'Reilly, and her father, Chopko Poppins. Marguerite has been a member of Pioneer Soccer for 2 years. She plays outside back, and in the fall, she will be studying environmental policy at California Polytechnic University. Marguerite's advice to younger players, protect your collarbone when you fall. I think there's a story behind that. And now number 8, Claire Sleeman. Claire's father, David, and mother, Gretchen, are accompanying her. She's been a member of Pioneer Soccer for 4 years. She plays center back, and next year she will be studying at Michigan State University. Her favorite memory, beating Skyline. And her advice to younger players is wise, have fun. Claire Sleeman. And now number 11, Ava Tikekar. Julie Tikekar is accompanying Ava on the field. Ava has played for 2 years on Pioneer Soccer. She plays outside back, and she's going to be attending the University of Michigan in the fall, majoring in molecular biology. Her favorite memory is ringing the bell after beating Skyline for the first time. Number 19, Brianna Powell. Her mother, Simone Strong, and her father, Dwayne Powell, are accompanying Brianna onto the field. Brianna has played for 4 years on Pioneer Soccer, playing center forward. Brianna serves on the Pioneer DEI Council, Women of Tomorrow, and Rising Scholars. Next year, Brianna will be attending Michigan State, where she'll be majoring in human biology on her way to medical school. Her favorite memory of Pioneer Soccer is beating Skyline and having team hype sessions in the locker room. Go, Brianna! Brianna's advice to younger players is to always practice like you play and put in the extra work to get better in every game and practice. Brianna Powell. Now number 21, Audrey Auer. Accompanying her are her dad and stepmom, Joe Auer, and Milena. Audrey has played for 4 years on Pioneer Soccer, playing center midfield. In the fall, she'll be attending the University of Michigan and is interested in business. Audrey's favorite memory is when the entire team sprinted and rang the bell after defeating Skyline this year. Audrey Auer. And now, Kaylee Karsh. Her parents, Sue and Doug Karsh, are accompanying Kaylee. She's been a member of Pioneer Soccer for 4 years, playing center back. She's also a member of the Pioneer football and Pioneer basketball teams. Kaylee will be majoring in gender studies and business at the University of Michigan next year. Shocking. Kaylee's favorite memory of Pioneer Soccer is beating Skyline at home and getting to ring that bell. Her advice to younger players is to love Pioneer Soccer to the moon and back. You won't regret it. Hashtag bleed purple and watch Rio before every game. Kaylee Karsh. Number 28, Bella Puente. Accompanying Bella are her mother Jennifer, her grandmother Debbie, and her grandfather Cesar. She has played for 4 years on Pioneer Soccer, playing outside back. Next year, Bella will be going to the University of Michigan, majoring in biology, health, and society. Her favorite memory of Pioneer Soccer is when we beat Skyline. And her advice to younger players, with help from Darren, is not to be afraid to make friends with people who are in different grades. Bella Puente. Now number 58 and number 80 in goal, Sonia Walter. Her mother Christine, father Mills, and sister Kaylee are accompanying Sonia on the field. Sonia has played Pioneer Soccer for 4 years. They play goalie, forward, and midfielder. Sonia is also a member of Science Olympiad. In the fall, they will be studying robotics and aerospace engineering at the University of Michigan. Sonia Walter. And team manager Grace Zazinski. Her parents, Dave and Lori, are accompanying her onto the field. She's been a member of Pioneer Soccer for 4 years and has played outside back. She's part of Pioneer's French and Interact Club and Health Sciences program. She's going to major in biology on the pre-med track at Michigan State University next year. And her advice for younger players is to not let an injury stop you from reaching the stars. Grace Zazinski. Those are our outstanding 11 stars. And players and families, we thank you for all you've given to the program and the team. We're proud of you and your work on and off the field, and we wish you all the best and only the best in future endeavors. Please join me in giving another round of applause for our Pioneer High School soccer seniors. Pioneer players and families, we know to join them in the locker room after the game for refreshments. Thank you. We'll get ready now for team.
Fantastic senior celebration there, and folks getting ready for the introductions as we take a look. So again, Ypsilanti Lincoln is hosting the upcoming playoffs, but the first game for Pioneer will be on the 24th at 4:30 here at Hollway Field. That is going to be Pioneer versus Huron. So that will be an epic battle to advance. If Pioneer is able to advance, that would be one of 3 possible playoff games between Pioneer men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, and soccer that would be played on May 30th. So hopefully everyone can advance and we can have a busy day that day. But that will be May 30th at 5:30 over at the Lincoln Soccer Stadium. Over at Lincoln, they would play Saline. So the winner of Pioneer Huron would play Saline. Then, if they're able to beat Saline, who is 9-0-5, They would face the winner of the lower region. That would be the 1st of June at 6 p.m. That lower region includes Belleville versus Lincoln for the first game, Skyline versus Dexter for the first game. The winner of those 2 games would play, and then the winner of that game would play on the 1st. So tough road for Pioneer ahead for the playoffs. But again, if you want to see any of the different brackets, get out to the MHSAA.com for all of your playoff information. And we will cover as much as we possibly can, but there's a limited number of places we can be. So let's take this moment. Again, a wonderful senior day, always a lot of pride in these wonderful, amazing seniors, in a sense of a bit of sorrow because we won't see them wearing the purple and white much longer, but we know they're going to go on to do amazing, wonderful things, including really leveraging the teamwork and the strength of character that they got by playing Pioneer Athletics. Let's play a few messages from the MHSAA, and then we will be back with the team introductions, the national anthem, and the opening kick. You're watching Pioneer Women's Varsity Soccer, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Nearly 2,000 of the state's top student athletes will be recognized for excelling academically and in school activities through the MHSAA's Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. The applicants will be in the running for a total of 32 $1,000 college scholarships. Application materials are available exclusively online through the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 more good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable. They have higher athletic ceilings. They become better talent in the long run. They have higher sports IQs. Their sports skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
So we're about to get going with the lineups here, and again, we'll turn it over to a wonderful public address announcer. Here we go.
Ann Arbor Pioneer High School, its athletics department, and its women's soccer program are pleased to welcome the players, coaches, parents, students, alumni, and fans of the Bedford Kicking Mules for tonight's game against your Ann Arbor Pioneers. Let's meet the participants. First, for Bedford. Number 1, Fabiana Valdez. Number 2, Libby Ewing. Number 3, Grace Phillip. Number 5, Corinne Tominello. Number 6, Madison Helpman. Number 7, Sienna Demirovsky. Number 8, Kaylee Pfizer. Number 9, Maddie Thompson. Number 10, Emma Gardner. Number 11, Mariam Selah. Number 12, Bree Boros. Number 13, Cameron Morse. Number 14, Hannah Smith. Number 15, Brooklyn Horton. Number 16, Presley Napier. Number 17, Madden Mosley. Number 19, Lily Zorno. Number 20, Cameron Clifton. Number 22, Lexi Ripple. And number 23, Gabrielle Chappell. And the head coach of Bedford, Kelly Gross-Stefan. Oh yeah, and now your Pioneers, here they are. Number 0, Jordan Knox. Number 2, Zoe Williston. Number 3, Maddie Hood. Number 6, Lydia Diesel. Number 7, Marguerite Poppins. Number 8, Claire Sleeman. Number 11, Ava Tukekar. Number 14, Lane Templeton. Number 19, Brianna Powell. Number 20, Sadie Wilkins. Number 21, Audrey Auer. Number 22, it's Kaylee Karsh. Number 23, Darren McDaniel. Number 24, Nana Neubauer. Number 28, Bella Puente. Number 34, Maya Borgstorff. Number 42, Lauren Stanley. Number 49, Georgia Wilhelm. Number 50, Quincy Bain. Number 51, Ivy Wilhelm. And number 58, Sonia Walter. The head coach of Pioneer is Siobhan Norman, assisted by Andy Irvine, Senna Neubauer, and Joy Alicia. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you rise now for the playing of the national anthem. Thank you.
And now the final regular season home game for Pioneer Soccer. Again, they will have a home game versus Huron for the first round of the playoffs, but this is their final home game before they play Huron. And here's the official announcement.
The assistant referees are Jacob Miller and Stephen Toms, and the man in the middle, the referee, Brad Nevin.
Again, you don't have to agree with every call the officials make, but we cannot have the games we love without them. And if you watch a game and you think you could do better, reach out to the MHSAA. We are always looking for officials, as we've had this, as Pioneers had to reschedule several games this season due to an official shortage. As both squads gathered around, Pioneer is in their purple kits with the white numbers on the back. and on the front, Pioneer in black lettering on the front, the purple shorts and the purple socks. Bedford is in their white tops with the numbers in red on the back and on the front. Bedford in black lettering on the back, Mules in black lettering on the front. They have black shorts and white socks. Well, it was a very successful homestand for AFC Ann Arbor on Saturday and Sunday. They won both the men's and the women's contests. Pioneer women's soccer hoping to continue the winning ways. It's soccer on this field. As set. Ewing set to kick off. Ewing in the center circle. Pioneer comes out onto the field. Back to our left, Valdez is the keeper to our left. To our right, it's Knox for Pioneer. To Caker. Comes over on the near wing. Joined over there with Clifton. On the far wing is Walter and Powell. As that moved back, bringing it ahead. That chipped over by Mosley, knocked away by Walter. Walter gets it over as that's over to Auer. Auer moves it over to Puente. Puente back over to Sleeman. Sleeman moves it over to Karsh. Karsh brings it up the pitch. Karsh cuts to her right, looking for some room. Karsh feeds it through the defense. That popped up high, moved over by Gardner. Now Ivy Wilhelm has that knocked away. That fired by Sleeman all the way down the pitch on the far wing. As Ripple had it, that fed ahead by Bedford. Ball just shy of the center line, taken away by Puente. Puente brings it right back to the center line, getting it over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm comes down the near wing. Ivy Wilhelm feeds the head for Takaker. Takaker trying to keep it in, and that goes out this near touchline. That will be a throw-in. As Tominello with the throw-in for Bedford. Tominello arcs it in, bounces over. Hood plays it off the body. Hood trying to work through traffic. Knocks it away from Mosley. That bounces towards center. Ivy Wilhelm trying to pull that away. A whistle, and that is going to be a free kick for Bedford. Napier looks like nope, that's going to be back over. Ripple is going to kick this free kick away. Powell standing right in the middle of the blockades. Ripple arcs it down the pitch towards the middle. Sleeman trying to move it over as that played down. Good defense. Trying to pull it back. Sleeman fires it towards midfield. Powell has it there. Powell getting it over to Takaker. Takaker looking for a place to go. Gets over midfield. Takaker cutting through the center of the pitch. Takaker trying to get it over to Auer. Auer brings ahead. Auer now moves it back to Takaker on the near wing. Takaker makes a nifty move. The ball gets loose. Back over to Auer. Auer using some fancy footwork, getting it back over to Hood. Hood rockets it into the 18. That goes just wide to the near side. That is going to result in a goal kick for Valdez. Valdez gets it set at the edge of the 6. It looks like Ripple's going to kick it away. As we are 37-23 left to go here in the first half. Scoreless so far. By the way, the JV contest was versus Mercy High School, and the JV squad won 5-0. As that's brought ahead, Takaker gets it back over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm back over to Takaker. Takaker gets it over to Powell. Powell comes to the center of the pitch. Powell moves it over to Hood. Hood gets it over onto the far wing, bringing it ahead is Poppins. Poppins arcs it into the 18. That played down by Tominello. Powell trying to play it off the body. Powell with the kick, and there's the save by Valdez. Valdez has it in the 18. Valdez kicks it away. That heads towards midfield. Hood plays it off the body. Clifton firing it ahead for the Mules, racing down on a breakaway. Moving it over is Demirovsky. That goes out the end line. She couldn't quite get the angle on it. That was deflected by Pioneer, so here will be a corner as Beiser, number 8, goes over to take the corner here at 38-16. First set piece of the game as the official goes over, and I think the flag ended up knocked over. They'll get that set back where it needs to go. Now Beiser bends over, now steps back, raises the right hand. Beiser puts the right foot into it, arcs into the 18, headed by Karsh, and back outside of the 18. There's a shot that bounces off the crossbar, comes back over to the far side. The ball loose in the 18, trying to get to it back there was Ewing. Now it comes ahead to DeCaker. DeCaker trying to get it out of her own defensive third. Feeds it ahead to Walter. Walter racing down the far side of the pitch on the far touchline. Walter stops there, gets it over to Poppins. Poppins feeds it down the far touchline. Ripple will kick it the other direction. That goes out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer. 35 minutes, 11 seconds left to go here in the first. Scoreless so far. That's arced in, hit up high as Karsh heads it back. Volleyed down, trying to move it over was a Helpman. That ball rolls out the far touchline. There'll be a throw-in on the far touchline. This looks like Karsh is going to go and throw this one in as she's going to throw it in her defensive third. As someone back there has a wonderful go number 3, Maddie, for Maddie Hood. Back over on the sideline. I think they have different signs for each of the seniors. Now Karsh waits as she arcs it in. That over to Hood. Hood plays it towards the center of the pitch. Hood moves it over to Poppins. Poppins racing down the far touchline. Poppins gets it over midfield. That deflected. Powell has it. Powell moves it over onto the near wing. Takaker has it. And she'll head up the pitch. Takaker does a good job to avoid Mosley. Now Hood trying to dribble through traffic. Gets it over to Auer. Auer moves it over onto the far wing for Walter. Walter races ahead into the far corner looking for the cross. Walter now sends it back up the pitch. There's the cross by Poppins, and that just goes to the side, off the side of the goal, missing that far post by a few inches. Ripple has it set at the 6. 33-47 left to go here in the first. Scoreless so far. Senior night for Pioneer as that's arced by Ripple down the far wing, moved ahead by Ivy Wilhelm over to Walter. Walter coming down on that far side of the pitch. That tipped out the far touchline. That is going to be a throw-in as Gardner has it. Over on the far touchline for Bedford. Gardner throws it in for Napier. Napier coming up the far touchline. Ivy Wilhelm trying to knock it away. Poppins feeds it towards the middle. Auer gets it over to Puente. Puente moves it back over to Sleeman. Sleeman moves it forward to Auer. Auer over to Hood. Hood trying to get it into the attacking third. Feeds it down over to Takaker. Takaker on the near wing. She sends a cross. Powell trying to get to it. Powell with a shot. And that bounced up trying to find it. It goes in as Valdez tried to grab it and it popped out. And able to fire that in was Powell, who has the first goal. That at 32-49. Good effort by Valdez back there, but that ball just popped and she couldn't locate it. Comes down, pulling it on the near side, moved over by Sala. Now that kicked up high, arched back into the Pioneer defensive third. Karsh comes over to try and get it over to Puente. That rolled into the near corner. Racing to get it is Clifton. Clifton, that goes out the near touchline. That will be Pioneer with the throw, and Puente goes and chases that ball in the near corner. Puente with the throw-in on the near touchline. Puente gets it over to Takaker, trying to, Clifton was trying a cross. That was knocked down, bringing it ahead. Takaker moves it over. Here comes Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm up the center of the pitch. Ivy Wilhelm trying to get it to Walter. Walter races ahead with it. Walter coming down the far wing. Walter stops to avoid pressure by Gardner. Moves it back over. Here comes Poppins. Poppins feeds it into the 18, and that's grabbed by Valdez. Valdez brings it out to the edge of the 18. Arcs it down right at midfield. Karsh heads it up. Ivy Wilhelm trying to get to it. Poppins moves it over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm avoids some pressure coming from behind by Ewing. And move back. Karsh pops it up again down the far side of the pitch. Coming over, Hood. Hood arcs towards the center of the pitch, feeds that through traffic. Powell tips that over. And Ivy Wilhelm just lost an edge, ended up down on the pitch. That is going to be a free kick for Bedford, as Wilhelm had just tripped and then the Bedford player went over. Ball set for Ripple to kick it away, and she's about 7 yards shy midfield. It's a short kick, gets it over to Napier. Napier brings it up the center of the pitch. Napier sends it deep into the attacking third as Poppins will let that roll out the end line. That should be a goal kick for Knox, as Knox will get the ball back from one of our wonderful ball folk on the sidelines. We have a number of wonderful young soccer players helping go chase those balls. As we approach the 30-minute mark before halftime, Knox rolls it over for Karsh to boot it away. Karsh just a step inside the goal line. As now the official gives the signal. Karsh skies it down the field. That tipped by Hood, trying to get it over to Powell. Powell races ahead. Powell has a breakaway. Powell coming ahead now, makes a move to the overside, trying to get it over to Walter, and that pulled back by Tominello. Good defense by Bedford, as it looked like Powell had to step, but the Bedford defense responded, coming back very well. Now Mosley has it right at the center line. Mosley gets it ahead, pulled away by Puente. Puente trying to turn the corner. Puente moves it back to Sleeman. Sleeman now fires it ahead. That got knocked down. Now Clifton trying to get across over. That pulled away. Poppins launches it down the pitch. That will roll out just on the edge of the Pioneer bench, and that'll be a throw-in for the Kicking Mules.
And for the Kicking Mules, number 23, Gabrielle Chappell.
Chappell in for Bedford. The throw-in, trying to get it over. That launch as Fulop tried to get it. That launch down the pitch as Powell racing back to get it. Ripple has it on the far side of the pitch. That will go out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer as Walter goes over to grab the ball off of the fence over there. 1-0 Pioneer with the lead. 28:42 left to go here. As that pulled over, Ivy Wilhelm comes towards the center of the pitch, moves it over to Hour, trying to get into the 18, gets it over to Caker with that shot, and that stopped and saved by Valdez. Valdez comes to the edge of the 18. Now Valdez arcs it up high towards midfield. Poppins plays that, as that will go out the far touchline right into the Bedford bench. That'll be a throw-in on the far touchline as Gardner with the throw-in for the Mules. Gets it over to Napier. Napier on the far touchline. Napier trying to send it ahead. Poppins has it. Poppins moving over to Hood. That's sent back right to midfield. Ivy Wilhelm moves it over to Karsh. Karsh gets it to Sleeman. That knocked away, racing ahead. Here comes Cliflin. Cliflin gets back, and a great job by Knox to race out and block it. That goes out the end line. As fantastic play by Knox. Great breakaway and good setup by Bedford, but Knox got in the way. And that does leave Bedford with the corner here. Going over to take the corner. Looks like that is going to be Helpman, number 6, who will take the corner. Helpman gets it set. Now Helpman raises her left arm, kicks it up high. Ivy Wilhelm heads it over to Walter. Walter trying to bring it ahead. Gardner tried to get a piece of it. Here comes Poppins. Poppins arches it over. Powell racing down the far side of the pitch. Powell has it on the far touchline. Powell trying to get past. That goes out the far touchline. That will be a Bedford throw-in. 26:45 left to go before halftime. 1-0 Pioneer with the lead over Bedford. As Gardner throws it in by Sir, has it on the far touchline, moves it back over, but that will go out the far touchline. That'll be a throw-in for Pioneer. Quick throw in down the far touchline. Walter trying to get to it. That knocked out by Ripple. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer. Walter will do the honors. Now she'll flip it over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm on that far touchline as she arcs it high up in the air. That headed back. Ivy Wilhelm plays it off the body. Now fires it over, trying to get it to Auer. That kicked back and volleyed over center. Racing back to get it is Sleeman. Sleeman has it on the far wing. Sleeman moving down the far touchline. That goes out the far touchline, and that will be a throw-in. As that will be a Pioneer throw-in. Sleeman trying to get it ahead to Ivy Wilhelm. That goes out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Bedford, as now Gardner has it on the Pioneer side of midfield. Gardner arcs it ahead. That popped up by Ewing. Ewing trying to play it deep. That grab by, and Poppins will just let it go out the far touchline. Should be a Pioneer throw-in. Looks like it will be. As Poppins goes out. She's been holding that right arm kind of against the body delicately during this game, so she'll get a chance to take a breather as Walter plays it ahead to Auer. Auer trying to feed it past a pair of defenders coming ahead. Now moving over to Kaker. Back behind the defense to Kaker coming in. To Kaker in the 18. Shoots it. And a save by Valdez. Good save by Valdez. Great shot by Takaker. But Valdez keeps it a 1-0 game here. 24:35 left to go before halftime. That lofted down. Karsh heads it back towards midfield. Played down by Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm trying to pull it down the far side of the pitch. She arcs it back. Powell racing back to get it. Powell has Walter to her left. Powell looking for the cross, trying to move it over. And I believe Fulop got in the way of it. Looks like they're going to call it a goal kick. Oh, so offside's the call. That all the way back just inside the attacking third for Pioneer. As Tominello will kick it away. Tominello raises the right hand. Fakes the kick, comes back now. Boots it down the middle of the pitch. Knocked down as Auer feeds it over to Hood. Hood gets it back to Auer on a give and go. Auer over to Takaker. Takaker stops, cuts towards the center of the pitch, moves it over to Walter. Walter with a shot that grabbed and saved by Valdez. 23:12 left to go before halftime. 1-0 Pioneer with the lead. Valdez arcs it down the field. That popped up high over on the far wing, headed back over by Beazle. And will go out the far touchline. As Gardner with the throw-in.
Bedford substitution number 7, Sienna Jamilovsky.
That pulled in. Mosley has it. Now coming ahead with it is Auer trying to come back up the pitch. Moves it over to Hood. Hood in the 18. Hood coming over. Hood with the shot, and that just goes just to the far side of that far post. That will be a goal kick Pioneer continuing to keep pressure down on the Bedford side. Bedford has had a couple great opportunities. A fantastic save and the crossbar. A couple things that have kept this a 1-0 game. Goes out the far touchline. Pioneer with the throw-in. As that knocked back, racing over. Beazle trying to get to it. That back over to Auer. Trying to turn on it. Auer moves it over to Hood. Hood feeds it back towards Walter, towards the center of the pitch. Walter over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm coming over onto the near wing. Ivy Wilhelm stops, cuts to her right. Ivy Wilhelm stops, now cuts to the left. Gets over to Kaker. To Kaker. Trying to get past Tominello to Kaker, gets it back to Auer. Auer with a shot. Oh, it just goes over the crossbar, between the crossbar and the field goal post. That will be a goal kick for Bedford. It remains 1-0, 21-23 left to go here in the first half. Ripple to kick away the goal kick.
Look for the Horton, number 15, now in for Bedford.
Fired all the way down and out the far touchline as Horton now in for Bedford. Beazle with the throw-in on the far touchline. And moved ahead by Hood. Hood doing a nifty little move, feeding it through traffic over to Walter. Walter. And that will be offside. It's Walter trying to hold up, but just got a touch past the defense. Here comes the kick by Ripple. That arced over midfield, headed up as Ivy Wilhelm gets it over to Auer. Auer up the near wing, over to Kaker. Kaker into the attacking third. Kaker gets it over to Hood. Hood feeds it ahead to Walter. That tipped away. Kaker has it. Kaker trying to find a way through traffic. Now moves it back over to Hood. Hood chips it over. That knocked away back into the middle third. Sleeman plays it over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm trying to come up the center of the pitch. Moves it over to Kaker on the near wing. Kaker trying to get a shot off, and they're going to call offsides. So one of the Pioneer players slipped back behind the defender. Tominello to kick it away. 19:36 left to go here. In the first, 1-0, Pioneer with the lead. Tominello launches it down the field. That tipped up by Ivy Wilhelm. Gets it over to Walter. Walter trying to dribble past traffic over to Auer. Auer gets it to Hood. Hood trying to run past the defense. Hood coming in. Hood cuts to her right, looking for some room to work. Hood now chips it up, and that goes just to the far side of the far post. Goal kick for Bedford, as Ripple will kick it away from the 6. Ripple raises her right hand, arcs it up. That headed back towards midfield, moved over. Ivy Wilhelm has it. Ivy Wilhelm trying to get that. Ewing trying to pull it away now. Beiser moves it over onto the near wing for Bedford. That grabbed. Bringing it ahead is Clifton, and that is going to go out the near touchline, as that is going to be a Pioneer throw-in, as Puente has it on the near touchline. Puente gets it over to Kaker. That goes out the near touchline. Auer touched it last, so that will be a throw-in for Tominello for Bedford. Substitution coming in, as that looks like, indeed, number 16 Napier in for Tominello. Napier has it on the near wing. Napier with the throw-in. Napier lofts it up. Kaker has it down the near touchline. Kaker stops, moves it back, trying to move it over to the center of the pitch to Hood. Hood feeds ahead to Walter. Walter kicks it down on the far wing, racing over to get it is Powell. Powell trying to get to it before Full Up, and Full Up puts it out the far touchline. That allows the Bedford defense to come back, but it will be a throw-in for Pioneer. As Beazle has it on the far touchline. Beazle throws it in over to Walter. Walter tries to send it back upfield. That goes out the far touchline. Again, another throw in for Beazle for Pioneer. That launched ahead and along the end line. Ripple looking to turn. Ripple sends it up, and that will go out the near touchline again. It'll be a throw in as that's headed up and moved over, trying to pull it out as Helpman was the one who headed it up. That kicked over on the near wing, pulling it ahead is Clifton. Clifton moves it over to Ewing. Ewing down the near, and that will go out the near touchline. That'll be a throw-in for Pioneer. Sleeman. Nope. That will be a throw-in for Bedford, excuse me.
Substitution. Number 10, Emma Gardner, now in for the kicking mule.
Gardner back in for Bedford as Gardner will come in for the throw-in. As looks like Napier heads back over towards the center of the pitch. Gardner on the near touchline, lofts it ahead. That headed by Takaker, right back to Gardner. Gardner arcs it up back into the defensive third for Pioneer, trying to turn on it. Beazle gets it right on the near touchline. That fired over by Clifton. Knocked away, up the pitch. Here comes Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm over to Hour. Gets it ahead to Takaker on the near wing. Takaker bringing it ahead, trying to get it over. Takaker racing down the near touchline. Now with the cross. And knocked down by Bedford, trying to poke it away. Back over there was Ivy Wilhelm. That goes off of her back. Now sent up high by Horton. Takaker has it. Takaker moves it right over midfield, trying to pull it back. Karsh has a Bedford player right back behind her. Karsh feeds it through the Bedford players over to Ivy Wilhelm. That moved over and out the far touchline. Walter racing over to try and keep it in. That will be a throw-in for Bedford as Napier will have it on the far touchline for the throw-in. Napier steps back, arcs it ahead. Beazle puts it right back out the far touchline up into the visiting stands. 14:45 left to go here before halftime. 1-0 Pioneer with the lead. They'd love to get a little bigger push, a little bigger cushion in the score department before halftime. Bedford is looking for the equalizer, trying to move it methodically down the pitch. Pioneer with the throw-in on the far touchline. Beazle there for it. Beazle arcs it as battle on the far touchline. Helpman trying to get that ahead as Walter had it. That deflected back. Now that into the defensive third, racing over Clifton, and that grab by Knox. Knox has it, comes back out to the edge of the 18. 14 minutes left to go before halftime, 1-0. Pioneer with the lead. And played over. Hood gets it over to Hour. Hour brings it ahead. Hour feeds it. That played back on the defensive third by Ripple. Ripple feeds it out the near touchline. That'll be a throw-in for Pioneer. Puente has it on the near touchline for the throw-in. Puente gets it over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm moves it back to Sleeman. Sleeman ahead to Hour. Hour gets it over to Beazle. Beazle on the far side of the pitch. Beazle inside the attacking third. Beazle trying to get it over to Walter. Walter looking for the cross. Shot, and that great grab by Valdez. Valdez comes back out to the edge of her 18. Valdez sends it down the pitch. Knocked down by Beiser. Now over center. Ewing sends it up the near side of the pitch and out the near touchline. Puente comes over for the throw-in for Pioneer. She gets a new ball from the ball boy down there. Puente gets it over to Hour. Hour battling Mosley. Hour feeds it through traffic over to Powell. That back into the Bedford defensive third. Tom Manello trying to get it, and Tom Manello fires it out the far touchline. Ivy Wilhelm over to grab the ball. That is going to be a free kick for Pioneer. That is in a place of menace, as that is as good as a corner there. Ivy Wilhelm pops it up into the 18. Walter heads it back, and then that launched all the way down the pitch by the Bedford defense. Down on the far touchline, able to try and angle it down the pitch, but it wouldn't stay in by Demirovsky. Walter on the far touchline. Walter races ahead with it. Walter looking for a cross. Walter sends it into the 18, and that picked up as Powell able to get her foot on it, but Valdez has it. Valdez has been fantastic in the 18 so far. That headed back up. Takakar trying to get to it. Pulled back over by Napier. Here comes Powell. Powell trying to get it over to Hood. That knocked away. Now Ripple arcs it down the pitch. All the way back into the Pioneer defensive third it goes. Knox plays it there. Knox moves it over to Sleeman. Sleeman gets it over on the far wing to Beazle. Beazle sends it up the far side of the pitch. Here comes Hood. Hood over midfield. Hood launching it for Powell. That deflects towards the center of the pitch. Gardner sends it the other direction. And pass grabbed by Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm goes over on the far wing. Ivy Wilhelm getting some room to work, trying to get past the defense. And pull back. Ivy Wilhelm trying to dribble through traffic. Gets it over to Hood. Hood comes into the 18. Shot. That's saved and grabbed by Valdez. Another save by Valdez as she comes out to the edge of the 18. We approach the 10-minute mark. 10 minutes left to go here in the first half. 1-0. Pioneer with the lead as Beazle trying to keep that from going out the far touchline, but that will be a throw-in by Bedford.
Bedford substitution. Number 3, Grace Phillip. Number 5, Corinne Tominello.
Phillip and Tominello come in for Bedford. Looks like Poppins is going to come in soon. She has the this vest in her hand that arced forward. Karsh has it. Karsh ahead to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm moves it over to Beazle. Beazle puts it all the way down on the far touchline. That goes out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in by Napier. Napier lofts it down. Play back over to Hood. Hood trying to dribble through a pair of defenders. Hood gets it ahead. Auer moves it. Auer sends it down. Here comes Takakar. Takakar into the 18. Takakar with the shot. And a save by Valdez. Ooh, Powell was racing over to get it. But Valdez able to get to that ball before Powell could. Valdez keeping it a 1-0 game with 8:39 left to go here in the first. That towards midfield, headed back, racing back to get it. On the near wing is Sleeman. That kicked away by Ewing. Now Knox has it on the edge of 18. Back to Sleeman. Sleeman trying to avoid Clifton. That ahead to Hood. Hood gets it into the middle third. Hood brings it up the center of the pitch. Rockets it now. Walter racing to get it. Ripple and Walter in a foot race, and Valdez gets there first. Just on the edge of the 18. 8 minutes left to go here in the first half. 1-0. Pioneer with the lead. Valdez sends it down the pitch. Ivy Wilhelm trying to play that. That headed back. Racing over. Karsh trying to get to it, that into the far corner, and Beazle ends up kicking it off of Karsh. It ends up not going out of bounds and ends up being grabbed by Knox, so ended up working out better for Pioneer, but I'm sure Karsh didn't like the feeling of that. As that pulled ahead, here comes Powell. Powell trying to get past the defense. Powell trying to dribble through, brings it back up. Powell coming over onto the far wing. Powell gets it into the attacking third. Now Ripple puts it out the far touchline. 7:15 left to go in the first half.
Bedford substitution, number 15, Brooklyn Horton. And for Pioneer, number 7, Marguerite
Poppins back in for Pioneer. Horton back in for Bedford. As Ivy Wilhelm inbounds the ball, throws it in. Walter pops it up. And it comes back over. Clifton plays it off the body and feeds it ahead over midfield. Racing back as here comes Bedford on a breakaway, and Knox kicks it away as Ewing got deep in the attacking third for Bedford, but great job by Knox. Now here comes Walter. Walter racing back behind the defense. Has to Kaker to her left. Walter comes in. Walter fires it and puts it in, and Pioneer goes up 2-0.
Pioneer goal.
Yes.
Sonia Walter.
Walter puts it in at 2:40. Beautiful through ball that really set up Walter well, and Walter got back behind the defense and used that speed and didn't hurt. They have the threat of Takaker to her left. That ball set at the center circle, inside the center circle, as Ewing ready to kick it away for Bedford. 6:23 left to go here in the first half. 2-0 Pioneer with the lead. As Tominello put it down the far wing, Walter takes the ball. Again, friendly fires. That time Poppins tried to kick it down the pitch and right off of Walter. She looks like she's all right. That is going to be a throw-in on the far touchline by Tominello. Tominello trying to get it ahead to Beiser, headed back the other direction by Karsh. Now launch towards the 18 and grab by Knox. Knox plucks it up. She kicks it up high. That played down, but bringing it back over. Auer does a beautiful job to switch directions on it and gets tangled up. That is going to be a free kick for Pioneer with 5:27 left to go here in the first half. 2-0. Pioneer with the lead. Karsh back to send the ball down the pitch. Karsh launches it ahead. That goes back into the attacking third. Here comes Auer. Auer down the near side of the pitch. Auer looking for a cross. Auer sends the cross. That in the 18 and fired out. Good defense by Bedford. Clifton has it, trying to get around Puente. Puente pulls the ball away. Puente gets it over as here comes Ivy Wilhelm over to Takaker. Takaker on the near wing sends the cross over to Auer. Auer trying to avoid pressure by Gardner. That centering attempt got knocked away by Tominello. Now Beiser has it, trying to avoid pressure as she was challenged by Ivy Wilhelm. That will go out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Pioneer as Walter has it there. 4:30 left to go. Knocked down and right back out the far touchline. It's 2-0 Pioneer. Walter has it. Walter arcs it in. Ripple again, just sends it out the far touchline. As that'll roll all the way over to the Transformers back at the end of the light post. Here comes Ivy Wilhelm. That kicked out the far touchline. Again, there'll be a throw-in for Pioneer. 4 minutes left to go. Ivy Wilhelm on the far touchline. Pioneer would love to get another one before halftime. Walter moves it back over. Ivy Wilhelm chips it ahead into 18. Takaker trying to head it up. Takaker looking to get it. That's still loose on the far side, and a whistle. And pulled over as Ripple will take the goal kick with 3:18 left to go before halftime. 2-0 Pioneer with the lead. Ripple sends that ball up. Auer plays it down. Auer trying to move it over to Takaker. Takaker races ahead with it. Takaker stops, heads back up the pitch over to Auer. Auer trying to dribble away from traffic. Auer moves it back over. Clifton steals that. Puente chasing it back. Puente turns on it. Puente over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm has that knocked all the way back. Knox comes high out. Towards the end of her own defensive third, she gets it back to midfield. Had sent back ahead. Launched down. Clifton trying to get to it, but it goes out the near touchline. .2:20 left to go. Puente with the throw-in, 2-0 Pioneer with the lead. Puente, they had headed back by Gardner. Puente has it in her own defensive third. Rolls that back over to Sleeman. Sleeman arcs the ball down the center of the pitch as we have 2 minutes left to go here in the second. Ewing trying to get to it, but Karsh launches it up high. That headed back the other direction. Now sent towards center, racing ahead. Takaker has it. Takaker has that pulled away. Now coming ahead with it, Takaker back through traffic. Takaker comes towards the center of the pitch. Takaker moves it over to Walter. Walter has the ball on the far wing. Walter trying to get across. That got knocked down. Popped back up high. As that was Horton who blasted it out. 1 minute, 25 seconds left to go before halftime. 2-0 Pioneer with the lead. Sent ahead, headed right back out the far touchline by Horton. There'll be a throw-in by Karsh right in front of the Bedford bench. Karsh arcs it in. Auer has it, and a whistle.
1 minute remaining. 1 minute.
With 1 minute remaining. As that is going to be, they're going to stop the clock with 54 seconds left. That is going to be a free kick for Pioneer. Is the official having a discussion? So Ivy Wilhelm will have it inside the attacking third on the far side of the pitch. 3-person wall for Bedford. Ivy Wilhelm back. Chips it up into the 18. Karsh trying to get to it. Ball loose. Powell trying to pull it away. Karsh trying to kick it. Bounces off of Karsh. Powell trying to turn. Karsh comes back to get it. Now Hood battling over there. Hood trying to get it away from getting it over to Powell. And blasted back over and sent down the pitch by Beiser. All the way back in along the far wing. Fulop has it, and that goes out the far touchline with 22 seconds left to go. As Demirovsky had a good defensive play back in the 18. 7 seconds left to go. Bedford arcs it ahead. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. And that will do it for the first half. Pioneer has the lead, 2-0. Let's play a few messages from the MHSA, and we will be back with your second half action. You're watching Pioneer Women's Varsity Soccer, brought to you by Arbor Broadcasting.
Nearly 2,000 of the state's top student athletes will be recognized for excelling academically and in school activities through the MHSAA's Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. The applicants will be in the running for a total of 32 $1,000 college scholarships. Application materials are available exclusively online through the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Health concerns in high school sports go beyond physical injuries. The mental well-being of our young people is a hotter topic than ever before. The Michigan High School Athletic Association website has resources to help adults and students recognize potential problems and deal with them in a positive way. You can learn more about these mental health resources on the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. A message from the MHSAA promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Can you go anywhere and find an endeavor in society where we've come to accept and tolerate an adult, and even kids, treating another adult the way we allow spectators, coaches, and players to treat a high school game official? Can you? No one has the right to abuse game officials. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Here are 5 more good reasons for multi-sport participation. Multi-sport athletes are more coachable. They have higher athletic ceilings. They become better talent in the long run. They have higher sports IQs. Their sport skills transfer, and they are better teammates. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Here are 5 good reasons for high school multi-sport participation. Fewer overuse injuries, less opportunity for emotional burnout, exposure to different kids and coaches, exposure to different roles, and learning to compete better. Being a multi-sport participant can help a kid become a more well-rounded person. Multi-sport participation is cross-training for life. Learn more at the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the Health and Safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the Health and Safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics and outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Valdez. Pioneer out onto the field. Powell waving over to the fans over on the near side. Officials come out to the center of the pitch. It is senior day for this wonderful Pioneer women's varsity soccer team. Those seniors include Jordan Knox, Maddie Hood, Marguerite Poppins, Claire Sleeman, Ava Tekaker, Brianna Powell, Audrey Auer, Kaylee Karsh, Bella Puente, and Sonia Walter. So we want to thank all the wonderful, amazing seniors out there. Again, always a bittersweet moment, as John said, during the senior program. So, you don't get much more time with these players wearing the purple and white, but they're going to go on to amazing, fantastic things in whatever their next adventure holds. 40 minutes up on the clock, 2-0. Pioneer with the lead. They would love to keep their foot on the gas, try and get even a little bit more room, as Bedford would like to try and get a goal and get one goal closer. Racing down on the near wing. Here comes Bame. Bame coming over into the 18. Bame kicks it over and putting it in. Karsh from Bame, and Pioneer goes up 3-0. That at 39-46. As beautiful, beautiful cross. Karsh just played it perfectly in. Bame set it up great, and it is 3-0 Pioneer. Well, Valdez has been very good, but there wasn't much she could do about that one. Rolling it back, here comes. Cutting to the near side is Mosley. Mosley trying to move it over to Morris. Morris on the near touchline. That goes out the near touchline. That will be a throw-in. For Pioneer is Sleeman with the throw-in on the near wing. Sleeman arcs it ahead. That knocked down by Tominello. Now Hood trying to pull it away. Grabbed, moved over by Beiser, over to Mosley. Mosley, her cross got knocked down by Stanley. Now Auer trying to work her way through traffic. Pulled back by Mosley. Mosley trying to bring it up the center of the pitch, trying to get it to the 18. And knocked back over by Sleeman. Chipped back, coming ahead with it. Helpman with a shot. That got knocked down. Neubauer moves it over to Bame. Bame heads towards the center of the pitch. Gets it over to Hood. Hood gets it over center, over to Karsh. Karsh launches it ahead, racing down the far wing. Here comes Wilkins. Wilkins with the cross, trying to get it to Powell, and that knocked out by Ripple. Pioneer with a great counterattack. That will be a corner, as Auer will go over to take the corner in the far corner. 38-20 left to go. Here in the second, 3-0 Pioneer with the lead, and they have the opening set piece of the second half. Auer arcs it up. Karsh looking to get to it. Stanley with the shot. That got knocked down out in front by Tominello. Racing back with it. Sleeman gets it over to Neubauer. Knocked away by Ewing. Pulled back. Here comes Beiser. Beiser brings it up the center of the pitch. Beiser sends it down on the near wing. And that will go out the near touchline before Morris could get to it. That'll be a throw-in on the near touchline. Sleeman gets a new ball from the ball boy, moves that ahead. That goes down the near touchline and sent out the near touchline off of Bame. So that will be a throw-in by Tominello for Bedford. 37-26 left to go here in the second. 3-0. Pioneer with the lead. That rolls all the way back out the near touchline. Racing over with the throw-in, Tominello. Tominello. That heads back, knocked down by Sleeman. Sleeman sends it across the pitch. Here comes Karsh. Karsh grabs it. Karsh over center. Karsh feeds it down on the far wing. Here comes Wilkins. Wilkins moves it back to Karsh. Karsh kicks it back to Wilkins on the far side of the pitch. Wilkins launches a shot. That knocked down by Valdez. Powell racing over to get to it. Valdez able to hold on. No rebound there. Valdez comes to the edge of the 18. She kicks it up high towards midfield. Bounces, now headed up by Beazle. Auer racing over to get it. Now Karsh plays it off the body. Karsh over on the far wing, moving it over to Wilkins. Wilkins feeding it down the far wing. Over to Stanley. Stanley looking for a cross. Stanley trying to avoid Gardner. Stanley over to Hood. Hood with a shot. Ooh, that went off of a defender. As I believe Tominello took that one off the cheek. That comes back. Pulling it over. Beiser. Up the middle third. Beiser. As a collision back there with Stanley. That ball moves over. Now fed ahead over center. Pulled away by Sleeman. Sleeman rolls it ahead. Now Ewing volleys it the other direction. Back over. Beazle lofts it up over midfield. Racing back to get it. That out the near touchline by Ewing. Bame quickly calling out signals, trying to get it over to Powell. That knocked out the near touchline by Tominello. Bame racing over, trying to get this thrown in. Now Sleeman will come over to throw it in. Sleeman launches it. That play back over to Bame. Bame lifts it up and in! Oh, just out of the reach of Valdez. And Bame puts it in. That at 35:07. In the second, it is now 4-0. As a beautiful shot just inside the near post. Valdez racing over, but just couldn't get to it. As substitution in goal, as Valdez goes out and Smith in goal. Bedford starts things off. That move back over as Helpman gets it over to Mosley. Here comes Hood. Hood looking to turn on it. Hood right at the blockades. Rolls it over to Stanley. Stanley moves it up the far touchline. Wilkins gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley coming ahead with it. Stanley moving over into the 18. Stanley trying to get it over to Powell, and that kicked away. I believe that was Tominello again, number 5 right there. That is a corner as Auer goes over for the set piece. 34:25 left to go here in the second. 4-0. Auer arcs it ahead. That kicked ahead by Ewing, loose. Now Morris moves it. Sleeman with the shot. Oh, that just goes wide to the far post by a matter of inches. That will be a goal kick as Smith will get it set on the 6. Tominello has it at the edge of the 6. It's getting a little colder, a few coats coming out as it's gone from the mid-70s down to 70 degrees. It is cloudy. Lights on here at Hollway Field. Hood trying to get a pass from Powell. That goes out the other direction. As Bedford looking to try and get the counter. Ewing keeps it in the far wing, and that goes out. Excuse me, that was Fulop. That will be a throw-in by Stanley. Stanley played off the body by Karsh. Helpman sends it in. Helpman almost made a basket into the trash can over there. Don't think that counts as points, but impressive nonetheless. Popped back by Powell. That will go right back over by the Pioneer bench. Control by Bedford. Helpman feeds it ahead. Now Beazle gets it back over to Neubauer. Neubauer up the far wing to Stanley. Stanley over to Hood. Hood brings it over the blockades. Hood over the center line. Over to Bame. Bame on the near wing. Bame with the cross. Oh, just behind Karsh. That popped up high. Bame has it. Trying to get it towards the center of the pitch. Mosley trying to get through Sleeman. Now Morris feeds it over Neubauer, and that's kicked away out the near touchline by Clifton. That should be a throw-in for Pioneer. On the near touchline. Throw-in. Hood plays it off the body. Hood trying to get away from Morris. Hood arcs it ahead, and they're going to call offsides on that one. Powell just set up, and the defenders came up, and it led to an offsides. 32:05 left to go here in the second, 4-0. Goals by Power, Walter, Karsh. As well as Bain. Arced over midfield by Pioneer. That shot down the pitch went off of Wilkins. Still in somehow. Now it goes out the far touchline. Everyone thought it was going to go out, but it stayed in. That'll be a Pioneer throw-in. Powell plays it off the body. Powell moves it back over to Stanley. Stanley heads towards the center of the pitch. Stanley gets it over to Hood. Hood right at midfield. Hood. That popped up by Ewing. Now over onto the far wing. That launched all the way out into the visitor stands. Throw in by Stanley on the far touchline. Stanley. And back over to Karsh. Karsh. Over to Hood. Hood just inside the attacking third. Hood moves it over to Wilkins. That chipped back into the middle third, bringing it up now. Here comes Bedford, launching it all the way back into the Pioneer defensive third. Knox launches it ahead. Neubauer trying to get to it. Now that lofted high up right to midfield. Played down. Auer has it, trying to avoid pressure by Heltman. Now Wilkins gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley over midfield. Stanley gets it over to Wilkins on the far touchline. Wilkins trying to get through traffic. That pull by Tom Manello. Tom Manello fires it right into the Pioneer bench. That'll be a throw-in by Pioneer. We are approaching the 30-minute mark. 4-0 Pioneer with the lead, trying to keep control and help that lead here on Senior Day. Snap pulled over, the ball launched, knocked away, ahead by Ripple. Now Sleeman has it on the near wing. Sleeman gets it over to Bain. Bain down the near side. Bain avoiding pressure, gets the cross. That over to Karsh. Karsh launches it and just couldn't get it angled over. That goes out the end line. That'll be a goal kick. Karsh already has a goal today.
Substitutions number 7, Sienna Demirovsky, and number 16, Napier.
Demirovsky and Napier in for Bedford. Ball set as that'll be, it's not Ripple this time. Tom Manello to kick it away from the 6. Tom Manello, low line drive kick, knocked down by Hood. Racing over Wilkins, has it. Wilkins feeds it ahead. Here comes Bain. Bain with a shot, and that grab by Smith. Smith works her way out to the edge of the 18. Smith kicks it away. That headed up. Auer plays it down, sent right to midfield. Stanley has it. Stanley moves it back over to Beazle. Beazle back to Stanley, knocked away. Here comes Bedford, launched ahead by Neubauer. Volleyed the other direction by Gardner. That will go out right at the Bedford bench. That'll be a throw-in for Pioneer. As we approach the 28-minute mark left, 4-0 Pioneer with the lead over Bedford here on Senior Night. Ahead to Karsh. Karsh tries to one-touch it over to Powell. That knocked away. Mosley trying to make her way over midfield. Mosley comes down the far side of the pitch, launches it towards the far corner. That pulled away by Stanley. Stanley moves it on the far touchline, feeds that ahead, and moved back over. Auer trying to control. Stanley now launches it. That knocked out of midair by Baser into the 18, and that's grabbed by Knox. Knox heads out to the edge of the 18. Knox rainbows it all the way, bounces down the far side of the pitch, coming over. That will go out the far touchline. That should be a throw-in for Pioneer. Wilkins standing on the far touchline. She grabs that, moves it over to Stanley. Stanley with the throw-in. Knocked down by Wilkins. Wilkins back to Stanley. Stanley coming down the far wing. Stanley trying to dribble her way into the 18. Stanley feeds it ahead, and that shot out by Tominello. Ooh, little closer than I think she wanted it to that far post. That will be a corner. Auer goes over to take the corner. It was a cross and heading towards Bain. And so Tominello had to do something, otherwise Bain would have been one-on-one with Smith. That arced up. Headed over and in by Bain. So Bain with 2 goals in a row. That second one at 26-32 on a header off of a corner. 5-0 Pioneer with the lead. 2 goals in the first, 3 now in the second. 26-32 left to go. Horton back in the game for Bedford. That ball over on the near wing. Tominello had it. Now Bain comes over to the center of the pitch. Bain moves it over to Karsh. Karsh back. One touch over to Auer. Auer sends it over to Wilkins. Wilkins controls it on the far wing. Wilkins back over to Auer. Auer heads towards the center of the pitch. Auer in the attacking third. Moves it over on the near wing to Bain. Bain. Defense flows over to her. Bain with the cross. Trying to get to Karsh. That knocked down out in front. Hood trying to pull it away. Now Karsh has it. Karsh over to Auer. Auer looking for a shot, and that will go just out wide to the far side. There's a good defensive play back in there. Trying to see who that was. I believe that was Horton, who stopped Karsh from being able to get it cleanly. That is going to be the ball touched as it went out by Smith. That will be a corner for Pioneer. Auer will have it in the near corner. Auer sends it across. That comes over onto the far wing, racing over to get it. Stanley can't quite get before it goes out the far touchline. That will be a throw-in for Bedford. As we approach the 25-minute mark left here in the second, 5-0 Pioneer with the lead over Bedford. Beiser has it on the far touchline. Wilkins coming over to get it. That goes out the far touchline. Pioneer quickly with the throw-in over to Karsh. Karsh racing ahead, lets the defender go in front of her. Karsh gets it back over to Hood. Hood rolls it over on the near wing, over to Bain. Bain coming over. Bain heads back up the pitch to get the cross. Bain looking for the cross. Over. Gets it over. Shot and a save by Smith. That was over to Wilkins. Wilkins took the shot. Smith able to get in good position and pluck that one up. Smith, Auer knocks it down. That over to Wilkins. Wilkins cross over to Karsh. Karsh trying to get through traffic. Karsh moves it ahead over to Hood. Hood trying to get into the 18. Hood over to Beam. Beam in the 18 on the near wing. Trying to get it back over to Powell. And that launched all the way over onto the far wing. Grabbing it is Stanley. Stanley back on that far wing. Gets it to Wilkins. Wilkins arcs it over into the 18. Knocked down by Tominello. Shot and a save. I believe that was Hood who got her foot on it. But a save by Smith. 23:45 left to go here in the second. 5-0 Pioneer with the lead over the Bedford Kicking Mules. Cloudy day, but very temperate weather. That pulled back, fired back into the Pioneer defensive third, racing back. Coming over, trying to get it is Demirovsky. That fired out the near touchline by Beazle. That will be a throw-in.
Substitutions for Bedford, number 2, Libby Ewing.
Ewing coming in.
Marianne Selah. For Pioneer.
Sela coming in as well. Poppins comes back in for Pioneer. Takaker comes in for Pioneer. And Borstor comes in for Pioneer. Ivy Wilhelm back in for Pioneer. Well, Detroit's luck in draft lotteries continues as Detroit did not get the top pick in the NBA draft lottery. That goes to the Spurs. Pulled back over, controlled that, taken away by Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm down the near side of the pitch, over midfield. Ivy Wilhelm gets over to Bame. Bame racing ahead with it, now stops, looking for the cross. Bame coming over, launches it, that knocked down, back over to Ivy Wilhelm. Ivy Wilhelm launches a shot and puts it in. Oh, what a shot from about 10 yards inside of the attacking third. She puts it in just underneath the crossbar. Not much Smith could do about that one. And Ivy Wilhelm has herself a goal. That makes it 6-0 at 22-20.
Thompson, number 9. Emma Gardner, number 10. Now in for the kick.
Thompson and Gardner in for Bedford. And move back over by Ewing, bringing it ahead. Launched by Beiser. Now Borsdor gets it over, racing ahead with it. Here comes Takaker. Takaker coming down the far wing. Takaker stops. Now feeds it over to Borsdor. Borsdor on the far side of the pitch, launches it into the 18, and Bame can't quite get to it. So that rolls out the end line. That will be a goal kick. Ball set at the edge of the 6 as Ripple will kick this one away. Ripple raises her hands, puts the right foot into it, comes down on the near wing. Knocked down by Mosley. Mosley pops it in the air. Knocked back by Stanley. Stanley trying to keep it in the far touchline. Stanley couldn't quite get to it. Valiant attempt. That will be a throw-in. Over on the far touchline by Bedford. Coming over on the throw-in. And over by Sir, trying to move it. That goes out. That'll be a throw-in by Pioneer. As Stanley with the throw-in. Stanley getting it ahead to Sleeman. Knocked down by Helpman. Now Sleeman brings it away. Sleeman on the center of the pitch. Sleeman racing ahead with it. Sleeman gets it over on the near wing to Bame. Bame looking for the cross. Bame stops, moves between a pair of defenders, comes over. Bame moves it. That grabbed. Oh, Ivy Wilhelm trying to get to it. Ball wouldn't settle down. Move back over to Takaker. Takaker rolls it over to Karsh. Karsh just back in the middle third. Karsh gets it. Karsh coming. Feeds it ahead. That knocked down coming the other direction. Here comes Mosley. Mosley up the near side of the pitch. Mosley trying to get a give and go. That pulled away by Poppins. Poppins battling there. Trying to pull it away from Thompson. Thompson feeds it right over midfield. Back over to Karsh. Karsh moves it ahead. Here comes Hour. Over on the near wing to Bame. Bame brings it ahead. Bame stops. Bame gets around back behind Gardner. Bame comes over. Bame in the 18. Stops there again. Bame heads to the top of the 18. Feeds it over on the far wing. Trying to get it to Takaker and a whistle. 19:35 left to go. That's going to be a Pioneer kick as that's going to come 10 yards inside the attacking third. Ivy Wilhelm, again, this in a spot of menace. Good offensive spot for Pioneer. Ivy Wilhelm raises her hand. Ivy Wilhelm arcs it over. That popped up. Played by Helpman. Ivy Wilhelm launches it again in the 18. Powell has it. Powell trying to get around a trio of defenders over to Wilhelm. That knocked down into the near corner. Trying to keep that in is Gardner. Gardner brings it up the near corner. Knocked away by Ivy Wilhelm. Gardner trying to move it over to Thompson. Now Borsdor moves it back over to Bame. Bame arches it up. Grabbed by Smith, but the ball is loose. Smith lands on it. As, coming up, Sleeman was looking for her first goal of the game as Smith bobbled the ball but fell right on top of it, doing a good job to get back and keep a goal away from Pioneer. As Ivy Wilhelm goes down, that will be a free kick for Pioneer. 18:23 left to go here in the second. 6-0 Pioneer with the lead. Ivy Wilhelm raises the hand, arcs it up. That right on, fired over on the far wing. That will go towards the far touch line. Ewing trying to keep it in and sends it right out the far touch line. That'll be a Pioneer throw-in. As Neubauer with the throw-in, that back over, bringing it ahead is Stanley. Stanley up the far wing, up the far touch line. That shot out the far touch line by Beiser. And Stanley looking to get the ball. Actually, looks like Stanley went off.
And under substitutions, number 3, Maddie Hood.
Hood back in.
Number 21, Audrey Auer.
Auer back in.
Number 28,
And Puente back in. Played off the body on the far wing. Moved back over. Trying to feed it. Auer has it. Auer gets it over to Hood. Hood trying to get past the defense. Hood moves it over to Tekaker. Tekaker coming down the far wing into the 18. Tekaker has it. Gets it back over to Auer. Auer trying to make the turn. That comes over, and Ivy Wilhelm couldn't quite get to it. The ball took a weird bounce on her. That goes out the end line. That is going to be a corner. So we'll say last touched by Bedford. So Auer to take the corner. Auer raises her hand. Auer puts it into the 18, popped up high by Hood. Ivy Wilhelm plays it down. Now Auer chips it over. Played back, trying to get to it. Sela knocked that out, brought back, and Smith grabs it. 16:05 left to go here in the second. 6-0 Pioneer with the lead. Smith comes out to the edge of the 18. Smith arcs that down the field. And played over, knocked away by Ivy Wilhelm. And chipped all the way down the field, racing over to get it is Neubauer. Now Poppins knocks that away. Pulled back over, trying to turn on a Ewing. And to feed it all the way back, and Karsh'll let that go out the end line. That should be a goal kick. Karsh'll just dribble it over to the 6.
For Bedford, Corinne Tominello.
Tominello in for Bedford.
For Pioneer, number 58, Sonia Walters.
Walters gives Ivy Wilhelm a breather. Karsh back to kick it away. Another Bedford player in. Is 23, Chappell. Launched ahead, headed up by Pioneer, right at center. Powell trying to play it back. Powell comes on to the near wing. Powell trying to dribble through traffic. Powell moves it over. That kicked away, but a whistle. And we'll stop the clock. That is going to be a yellow card to Powell. As Powell takes the yellow card at 14:40. Pulls back over as going to kick it away is Ripple.
Cameron Clifton, number 20, in for Bedford.
Clifton in for Bedford. As Beazle comes in for Pioneer.
Beazle in for Pioneer.
And over, knocked down by Neubauer. As Clifton tried to get to it, goes into the near corner. Pulled away, Poppins arcs it down the pitch. Pulled back over by Hour over to Neubauer. Neubauer feeds it down towards center. Gardner has it. Gardner arcs it up high. Tom Manello played it down. Now Karsh trying to get away from traffic. That moved over to Hour. Hour gets it over to Puente. Puente back to Karsh. Back over to Puente. Puente on the far sideline. Over to Tekaker. Tekaker racing down the far touchline. Tekaker gets into the attacking third. Tekaker looking for the cross. Tekaker has that poked away by Horton. That will go out the end line. That should be a corner as Hour goes over to take the corner. 13:35 left to go here in the second. Hour has the ball set, raises the hand, arcs it into the 18. That comes over onto the near wing, and that'll roll out the end line. Goal kick, as looks like Ripple will take it from the 6. Ripple over onto the near wing to Gardner. Walter trying to dispossess Gardner. Moved ahead to Mosley. Mosley on the near wing. Poppins trying to pop that away. Mosley comes away with it. Mosley out of her own defensive third. Mosley trying to feed it ahead to Clifton. Clifton down the near touchline. Clifton moves it over. Now coming ahead with it. Beiser, and that knocked down and grabbed by Knox in the 18. Pressure was coming from the far side as Ewing was looking to try and get a goal and get Bedford on the board. They want the clock to stop at 12:31. As there is a injured player on the near side. Again, we don't show the injured player during high school games, but there is a player right down on the near touchline in some pain. We will effort to see if we can see who that is. We do not want any of these young, wonderful athletes injured. We love to see them all play their guts out. But that is Gardner down on the near touchline close to the corner. We'll step away as they work on her, and we'll play a little bit of messages from the MHSAA. As they continue to work on Gardner just inside the near touchline in the Bedford defensive third.
Nearly 2,000 of the state's top student athletes will be recognized for excelling academically and in school activities through the MHSAA's Scholar Athlete Award, underwritten by Farm Bureau Insurance. The applicants will be in the running for a total of 32 $1,000 college scholarships. Application materials are available exclusively online through the MHSAA website. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As Gardner is up and walking off the pitch, good round of applause by both of these squads, showing excellent sportsmanship. We're very, very happy to see Gardner able to walk off under her own power. We hope that she'll be all right soon. $12:31 left to go here in the second. 6-0 Pioneer with the lead on senior night. Plenty of goals as Powell has had 2 goals. Boehm has had 2 goals. Walters had a goal. Karsh with a goal. And Ivy Wilhelm with a goal. It's the scoring thus far. As Knox gives the official the ball. As looks like Napier back in for Bedford.
Presley Napier, number 16, in for the kicking mule.
Now Knox back. Knox arcs it down the pitch. Knocked down by Tominello. Auer puts it over. Whistle. As we'll kick it again, 12:31. Clock runs. Knox in her own 18. Knox arcs it up the field. That knocked down on the near wing by Sela. Sela racing. That goes out the near touchline. That'll be a throw-in for Pioneer. Walter on the near touchline. Walter gets it ahead as Beazle plays it. Beazle trying to get around Sela. That launched over to Sleeman. Sleeman popped up in the air as that's played back by Horton. Here comes Poppins. Poppins dribbles to her left up the center of the pitch. Poppins gets it over, trying to work through traffic as Hour ends up down on the pitch. That is going to be a free kick by Pioneer, as that is a good probably 12, 13 yards inside the attacking third for Pioneer. So again, an excellent offensive opportunity for Pioneer. 11:24. And hey, the temperature is 68 degrees, but that wind makes it feel just a little cooler. As more and more coats coming out with this wonderful crowd. Good crowd here for senior night, last home game of the regular season. Here comes Poppins. Poppins fires it, and that grab by Smith as Smith goes down to a knee to stop it. Beazle was right there looking for the rebound. We have 11 minutes left to go here in the second. 6-0 Pioneer with the lead. That ball headed up, played over onto the near wing. Racing over to get it is Clifton. Clifton trying to move it back. Hood steals it away from Mosley. Hood getting it ahead. Here comes Sleeman. Sleeman back behind the defense. Sleeman with a shot and a score! Sleeman fires it in. And Sleeman makes it 7-0 Pioneer at 10:39. If Pioneer scores once more without Bedford scoring before the game ends, that will be the end of the game, as if it's a 8-goal differential in the second. It is considered a mercy. Zorno in. Sela goes out the far touchline. That pulled back over. Now moved over by Tominello. Tominello over to Clifton. Clifton arcs it up high. And comes over. Karsh heads it, but headed right back over by Beiser. Lofted up by Neubauer. Kicked the other direction by Tominello. Now knocked down over by Puente. To Kaker. Gets it back to Puente on the far wing. Puente moves it up the far touchline. To Kaker has it. Back over to Puente. Puente trying to avoid pressure back there as bringing it ahead. Zarno was trying to challenge. Here comes Takaker into the attacking third. Takaker launches across. That popped up high by Ripple. Played down by Hood. Now Beiser sends it right to midfield. Launched the other direction by Pioneer. Chipped up by Ripple. Headed down by Hour. That was headed down. Knocked ahead all the way down the near wing, racing over to get it. Here comes Clifton. Clifton up the near wing. Clifton heads back for a cross and pulled away. Shot as Karsh, a good block. Here comes Hour down the far wing. Hour racing over. That will go out the far touchline. 9:22 left to go here in the second. The wind picks up a little bit here as that ball over on the far wing. Tominello lofts it in over on the far wing. Ewing has it into the far corner. That goes out the end line. Looks like they're, they switched. That is going to be a corner, as Beiser will take the corner for Bedford. So we approach the 8 minute 30 second mark. Pioneer up 7-0. Beiser, that headed up. Good job by Karsh to get it out of the 18. Played down by Clifton. Popped up, and that will go out the near touchline. That will be a throw in for Mosley. Mosley Now we'll drop that as coming over. Napier with the throw in on the near touchline. Napier arcs it into Mosley. Mosley has that knocked by Beazle. That goes out the near touchline. That'll be a Pioneer throw in as we're under 8 minutes left to go here in the second. 7-0 Pioneer with the lead.
Brianna Powell returns to the lineup.
Powell comes back in for Pioneer. Throw in by Neubauer. Hood trying to get it back to Neubauer. Ewing arcs it up into the near fans. That'll be a throw in for Pioneer. Neubauer takes it on the near touchline. Neubauer throws it ahead. Walter plays it off the body. Walter moves it back. That launched ahead by Poppins. Knocked down. Powell trying to get it back over. Powell over to Walter. Walter comes inside the attacking third. Walter trying to move it back to Poppins. Walter trying to keep it in the near touchline. So I need to vocalize and not just go, ow, ow, as it was out the near touchline. Powell trying to save it. Bedford fires it all the way down the pitch, racing ahead. Knox comes over as Ewing coming up. Knox sends it out the near touchline. That'll be a throw in, but the Pioneer defense able to get back and get set up. 6:45 left to go here. Oh, Pioneer ball as put in by Hood. Walter has it. Walter. And they'll change their mind, and that will be a throw in by Bedford. As that's going to be a free kick by Bedford. Tominello has it just over midfield on the near side of the pitch. Tominello arcs it up. That bounces, played by Karsh. Karsh trying to move it. Beiser knocks it into the 18. That grabbed on a hop by Knox. Knox heads out. Knox spins it. High arcing kick down the pitch. Popped up by Tominello. Bounces up high, headed back over Poppins. Launches that ahead. Played down by Tominello. She loses her footing. Ahead to Beiser. Beiser moved it over to Ewing. Ewing over on that far wing, and it will go out the far touchline. That'll be a throw in by Puente. Puente moves it down. Sleeman, who had the last goal, trying to get it back to Puente. Puente, that deflected out the far touchline. 5:25 left to go here in the second. Pioneer with the throw in, trying to get it to Decatur. Decatur racing down the far wing. Decatur into the offensive third. Decatur trying to get it past the pair of defenders, pulled away by Tominello. Tominello fires it over onto the far wing. Sleeman right over there for the throw in. Sleeman throws it in, trying to get it to Decatur. That's Horton who blasts it out the far touchline. Under 5 minutes left to go here in the second. 7-0, Pioneer with the lead. Sleeman throws it into Hood. Hood trying to get it over to Poppins. Poppins trying to chip it ahead. Pulled the other direction. Poppins gets it over to Walter. Walter moves it over on the side of her foot, trying to get it to Powell. Pulled back over by Clifton. Clifton sends it out the near touchline. Neubauer racing over to get it. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left to go. Neubauer has it on the near touchline. Neubauer into Hour. Heads back. Neubauer moves it over to Karsh. Karsh just over midfield. Karsh chips it over on the far wing. Gets it down over to Sleeman. Sleeman trying to get to Decatur. Sleeman again has it over to Decatur. Decatur back over to Hour. Hour with a shot that hits the field goal post. That will be out, and a goal kick for Smith. Under 4 minutes left to go. 7-0 Pioneer with the lead.
Demirovsky now in for
Demirovsky in for
number 7.
Bedford. Ripple back to kick this away. Ripple launches it ahead. Knocked down. Hour trying to get to it. Demirovsky feeds it by center. Ewing back over to Demirovsky. That goes out the far touchline. Pioneer with the throw-in. Launched ahead, trying to get to it. Decatur bringing it ahead, but a whistle. That's going to be a free kick over to Bedford. Bedford has it set just in the middle third. That's Ripple again, I believe, on that far wing. Raises the right hand. Arcs it down the pitch. Kick back, played down on the far wing by Sleeman. Knocked away, but grabbed by Takaker. Takaker brings it up the far wing to Kaker. Fires it ahead, trying to get it to Walter. That just out of her reach, goes out the end line. 2 minutes, 45 seconds left to go here in the second. Ball set at the edge of the 6. Pioneer has one more regular season game coming up. That is versus Huron. Big game at Huron, as Pioneer will play Huron to start off the playoffs over at, that will be at Hollway Field here, coming up on the 24th. Ball comes in, Neubauer with the throw in as we are headed towards the 2-minute mark. Neubauer with the throw in, Hood trying to get to it. Clifton has it, it's 2 minutes to go. Over, here comes Powell. Powell works her way through. Powell with a shot, and Smith with the save. Powell looking for a hat trick. Smith grabs it away. 1 minute 45 seconds left to go. Ball rolled over on the near wing as that's fed ahead by Napier. Pioneer with the throw in. Neubauer will get it in. Neubauer moves it over as Walter sends it over. Neubauer chips it down the middle of the pitch. Tominello trying to get to it. Now to Kaker. Moves it over to Puente. Puente over to Auer. Auer turns on it. Auer gets it over to Poppins. Poppins moves it back. Here comes Neubauer. Neubauer ahead to Hood. Hood working on it. 1 minute 5 seconds left to go here in the second. 7-0 Pioneer with the lead. To Kaker coming ahead into the 18. To Kaker with the shot. That's saved by Smith, but loose in the 18. Another shot that's loose coming in. Hood trying to get to it. Hood pulls it away. That launched out the 18 all the way back. Neubauer pulls it over. 45 seconds left to go. That moves. Powell trying to get to it. Over. Booted away from Powell. There is a injured player in the 18 holding her left ankle. As they'll stop the clock with 30 seconds left to go. There's a player down in the 18. Can't quite tell who it is, but they're working on that player as the trainers come out. The Bedford squad gathered around the injured individual. Looks like trainer working on the left ankle of the player who's down as the Bedford player is calling over another player. As Smith comes over to the sideline. As the Bedford player working her way up, as she's going to be helped off the pitch. She's not able to put any pressure on that right leg. So good round of applause by the fans as good sportsmanship as the Bedford player being helped off. We'll see if we can effort a number just for your own edification. Hopefully she'll be all right. As back in is Valdez in goal. As the Bedford player slowly helped off the pitch. As we hope she will be all right, as that is Napier over on the far sideline. So hopefully Napier will be all right. 30 seconds left to go. Ball set.
Helpman, number 6,
At
in
the
for Bedford.
edge of the 18, Helpman comes in for Napier. I think that's Ripple getting ready to kick it away. Ripple launches it ahead. Played off the body by Beiser. Beiser launches it into the Pioneer defensive third. Knox moves it over. The ball loose. Ewing coming. That launch kicked away. Good defensive play by Poppins.
10,
As
9,
10 seconds left
8,
to go, to Kaker
7,
moves it
6,
ahead to Kaker.
5,
Coming up, 4
4,
seconds
3,
left to go, 3 seconds
2,
left to go.
1.
As Hood launches it, and that will do it. Pioneer able to keep a clean sheet, but boy, it was close at the end. Poppins saved a goal. Pioneer wins 7-0. As their next game will be versus Huron coming up in a couple days. Thank you for watching. For my camera person, Christina Weisman, my name is Mark Weisman. Thank you for your support of these wonderful, amazing athletes, and have a wonderful rest of the evening.